everybody. It's Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates, and I'm coming at you from our new office here in Indianapolis. And welcome to the show. If you were expecting to see Jerry and you're terribly disappointed, he'll be here in 2 weeks. Night, Steve. This was his week, but as fate would have it, originally Renda and I were going to be out of town, and we sort of act as his support team, so we couldn't help him that particular night. And so you got me tonight, and sorry I'm late. Generally, if I'm doing the show, if you'll notice the pattern, I tend to run a little bit late. Just got done with some clients. Hi, Kelly. Where's Brenda? You mean Brenda? Brenda has the night off. She did the show last week. So you got me, and Mr. Pauly is around here somewhere. So I have 3 questions. Hi, Kimberly Blair. And I have a little bit of material from some of my last YouTube videos. I haven't really made too many videos, but I was inspired the last 2 weeks and made some. Is Jackie in the house? Hi, Jackie. So Jerry will be here in 2 weeks, and I wanted to do the show from the waiting room in our office. It's such a big room, and when you walk out in it, it's just like heavenly. It's like, oh, it's just filled with beautiful things, and it has a real aura of peace and just nurturing. It's very nice. So I just wanted to hang out here. So let me tell you what. I'll start off the show. Julia says, thanks for your videos. You've helped me a lot. I've noticed your comments, Julia, and I've noticed that they've been speaking to you, so I'm glad of that. I don't know what I got. Something going on my lip there. Hey, Kate Nadine. Okay, so start with a question. We're in church heaven tonight. I will go back and change the title to Church for the Narcissistically Abused. It's just hard to type out when you're in a hurry. So this is from 1000 Doves, and the question is, I often feel as though I love my abuser. It's been 3 years with no contact with someone who was akin to a meat grinder to my heart. He's still like a machine programmed for my complete destruction, continuing with stalking, demeaning, and shaming. I actually don't even like him rationally. What's wrong with me? I have broken away physically, but emotionally I still feel soul tied. So this is a common story, 1000 Doves. I felt like I still loved my abuser, and it's been 3.5 years with no contact, and she certainly meat grinded my heart. So it's disturbing that he's still stalking and demeaning and shaming you, but it's about trauma bonding, where if you grow up with abuse in your family of origin, then you like who you like, and if you like somebody who is abusive, which I did. I liked a liar and a cheater and a con woman and a narcissist and somebody who just seemed like she didn't even have a soul. So I just encourage you, 1,000 doves, to quit beating up on yourself. You're wired to be attracted to him. That doesn't mean you need to act on it. It doesn't mean that you need to be in a relationship with him, and you have broken away physically. So time will help you to be less soul tied to this person. Hi, Sarah. So give yourself some grace. You're not a freak. If you're a freak, I'm a freak, and I'm not a freak. So give yourself some forgiveness and some grace. And what's wrong with you? You were severely twisted and wounded in your childhood. That's all. And that's not your fault. Okay. So this is from Kate. When I was in the early stages of healing, I isolated from people and going to large gatherings other than to church, but I rushed in and sat away from others in the back in the balcony when I did go to church. Is isolating from others and things an important part of healing, or is it just something that happens after you realize you're being narcissistically abused? I like it when I can answer the questions well. It isn't really an important part of healing, nor is it something that happens after you've realized you've been narcissistically abused. It's a form of claustrophobia, and it is a symptom of complex PTSD. Sumit, what's up, brother? So I tell this story that 3 weeks after my shattering in April of 2015, I fatefully and mistakenly went on a cruise with my then 20-year-old daughter. And I was just so filled with negative energy and pain and trauma and hurt. So when I boarded the cruise ship, the first thing they do is they want to do that muster. I hate the muster. I want to go, I want to eat a little snack, have a little beverage, and take a nap. And they want you to immediately go stand in large groups of people. And so my daughter and I were funneled into a room that had 1,000 people in it. And I got to the entryway of the room, and I said, "Sir, I can't go sit up there with 1,000 people. I have PTSD. Please, may I sit down here?" And he let me. Isolating it's a symptom of PTSD. I still don't like, I'm driving down the road and there's a car behind me. It gives me the creeps. And 9 times out of 10, I'll pull over and I'll let them pass. They're not tailgating me. Then I'd really freak out. They're just behind me. I don't want anybody behind me. And that's a PTSD symptom as well. So I hope that's helpful, Kate. Okay, so Kelly's doing a good job of greeting everybody. Sherry says, why do I feel the need to call out narcissists on their crap? Well, it's something you need to get over. Having a lot of energy to invest in calling a narcissist on their crap is a losing sum game, let me tell you. It's like banging your head up against a wall. Our job isn't to call the narcissist out on their crap. You know what our job is? To protect us, to keep us safe. That's our job. That's our responsibility, and that's it. Okay. Jackie said the whole PTSD on a cruise ship sounded overwhelming. It was. My daughter, after 2 days, wanted to see if there was another room she could move to. I was just so traumatized. Hi, Suzanne. Betty says, that gives me, that's me too. I can't stand anyone behind me. It gives me the creeps. Okay. So I'm starting to get a little hungry. And all I have is Soren's in the house. What's up? What's up? I have almonds, it looks like, is on the menu for tonight. How am I? I'm really tired. I got here and started seeing clients at 8 o'clock in the morning and had a really effective day seeing clients, but it feels like a zillion of them. So I'm a little low on energy. So you guys are going to have to ask really good questions and sort of carry the. Oh, I have cheese too. So this is going to make too much noise. I'll put them on the table, my little snacks. Okay. All right, so let me ask answer another question. Smooth and Chunky's in the house. Aga's in the house. She's hungry. She just finished swimming lesson and she's on the beach. I was at the beach last week. Down in South Carolina. It rained torrentially like a monsoon every day. And when it wasn't raining, it was super humid. So I said, I'm going to come home because the weather here in Indianapolis has been lovely. It's been sunny and relatively cool. So let me grab my little cheesy things. Cheese and almonds. And I have something to sip. I do have a lovely diet Snapple here. And I had a client come in and he had one of these bottles that looks like it's made out of wood. It's not made out of wood. And he came in, I'm like, oh, I love that. I have to have that. So then I went out and bought one. But I'm finding that it's like really, if it's full, it's like really heavy to carry around. So anyway. And now I have a foot itch that I cannot reach. So we're going to try to deal with that. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. I don't know if you have any other YouTube personalities who are as big as a goofball as what I am. Is Brenda sort of checked in a little bit here? She did. Hi, honey. So it wasn't a swim lesson, it was a 3-hour swim session. Okay. You're a badass. Okay. Rachel, how do I change my thoughts of men who aren't to be trusted? Rationally, I know they are to be trusted. I mean, if you're a solid guy who is kind, honest, and trustworthy, and all around a good catch. How do I work on trusting men? I'm ashamed to say it, but I really dislike men as a gender, and it's not healthy. Rachel, I resemble that remark. How can I change my perceptions? I don't want my experience with narcissists to affect my thoughts and approach to men. Thank you. Rachel, that's a killer good question, to be honest with you. Really, really, really good. Super question. So, how do I change my thoughts of men that aren't to be trusted? And I know they should if they're a solid guy. Listen, how many guys out there are solid, kind, honest, trustworthy, and all around a good catch? That's like 1% of men, what you just described there. That's not the majority of men. That's not 30% of men. It might be 2% of men. So, whether you're a man attracted to a woman attracted to a man, or man attracted to a man, it doesn't really matter the gender per se. But I teach my clients to be mortally horrified if they're have been through some narcissistic abuse in their childhood, if they've been through some narcissistic abuse in their adult lives and they're back on the market again, I encourage them to be mortally terrified. One lady suggested that if somebody asked them out, she would say, I will go out with you. When can you meet me at Mark's office for your genogram and your assessment and your feedback session? Because we need to learn if you're a workable specimen. I said, honey, you ain't going out on many dates if that's what your boundaries are. So, we want to have guarded optimism. Who are we on this show? Pretty much all of us have been on the butt end of narcissistic abuse syndrome. Pretty much all of us have grown up with narcissists or addicts or other cluster B characters. And so it puts you at tremendous risk. So, Rachel, actually, I would like you not to trust men. I would like you to understand if a guy is acting kind, honest, trustworthy, and like an all-around good catch, he's probably full of shit. And do an FBI background check on him and run him past all your friends and date for 3 years and be in therapy 2.5 of those years. And you're still not guaranteed not to have something really blow up in your face. So, be very, very, very careful. Smooth and Chunky's done with the dating cesspool. Okay. This is Vladimir. He says, how do I get over the narcissistic parent who won't change? How do I stop waiting and hoping? What I'm saying, Vladimir, is when you're ready, it's just a matter of stepping back from them. They're not going to change at that point, and it's going to take some grieving on your part, some tears, some processing with a therapist, some processing maybe in a men's group. But waiting and hoping is normal. And Jackie just telling you to get a dog. All right. So it'll take time, but eventually you need to really let go of, the abusive, narcissistic abuse parent. Okay. We're getting some dating kind of stuff and some other good questions. Jillian, I was raised by a narcissistic mother and having a lot of anxiety in a relationship with a man who is highly functional and very loving. The total opposite of my mother. Have you ever seen this? Dude, you're in danger. Basically, you have two options in dating. You're either going to pick the clone of your parents, the parent who hurt you the most, or you're going to pick the polar opposite. But guess what? The polar opposite has some doo-doo in their skeleton closet too. So that doesn't get you out of the corner. If you grew up as, on a scale of 1 to 10, a 2.5, and you're dating the new guy and he seems like a 7, he ain't a 7. He's maybe a 3 at best. So be very, very careful. Things aren't always what you inferring. So my wife is, what am I inferring in terms of who I married? Well, honey, I think what I did was I grew up not being nurtured or mothered, and the sort of the foundation of my relationship with Renda was just a magnificent display of nurturing and loving. Now I'm seeing some other issues pop up where, she's saying, hey, brother, when is it my turn? So we're working on it. We'll get figured out. The main thing is find somebody who's workable. So Jackie has a comment. Julia says it's 3:39 in the morning, and she says, enjoy your meal. Not really having a meal, I'm having a little snacky poo is what I'm doing. So Betty says we're blessed to have found this therapy group. Well, we're blessed to have you guys join us. Jackie is going to go see Supertramp. Nice sharing. Cool for you. Okay. Soren says, I have the same problem with women due to the nature of my abuse. So it really does cut both ways. Jackie says, trust is earned. My lovely wife says, you attract what you need. there's such a misperception about why we pick who we pick. What we need is to have our psychological walls taken down so that we can heal. And in order for that to happen, we pick somebody who is an assassin, and they shoot holes in our defenses, and then our walls come down, and then we have a chance to do some healing. My wife says my hubby is in the 1% that still challenges me. I don't know what that means, if that's a compliment or not. Honey, you do challenge me quite a lot, quite a lot. I'm behind in the comments. I'm trying to keep up here. Smooth and Chunky says she's unwilling to take the chance of getting run over. I cannot afford to make a mistake from a financial perspective. You bring up a good point, Smooth and Chunky. If you blow up your family life and your love life, you're going to blow up your financial life too. Isn't that the truth? Suzanne asks prospective dates what they feel they need to work on and grow as a person. Sweet. Narcs have no response. You know why? Because they think they don't have nothing to work on. People in recovery, we got all kinds of responses. I could make a list of at least 50 things that I need to work on without breaking a sweat. Soren says it's good advice to get a dog and focus on you and build it up, and they will come eventually. First thing I did when I became a separated man is the next day I got Mr. Pauly. One of the best things that I ever did. He's a sweetie poo. My wife says when you work on yourself and you're not looking for a relationship, then you're ready, when you're happy just being alone. Jackie said, hey Mark, I got to see projection in action this week. Unbelievable. Now I see it. Thank you for teaching us what it is and how to spot it. You know, I'm a little chilly in our lovely office, so I have a cover shirt that I'm going to place on. And if I'm still cold, I might bust out the ball cap. Hi, Diana. So this is me putting on a shirt, trying not to knock over the microphone. Zach has a question that he sent in. How do you learn to trust people when your trust has been broken? That's a short question, but that's a killer question. Peekaboo. Anybody ever play peekaboo on YouTube before? Don't rewind that and send that out. That was silly. All right, I'm gonna promote my Cowboys here. Now I'm nice and warm. All right. Jackie's excited about the fall being just around the corner. How do you learn to trust people when your trust has been broken? Very, very carefully. You take it really slow. You give people this much trust, and if they follow through, you give them this much trust. And if they follow through, you give them this much trust. But what we do as empaths and codependents, Denise, hey, what's up? She says I crack her up. What we do is people who don't deserve any trust, we give them this much trust. And then they cut our friggin' hearts out. That's an issue. So that concludes the questions that were sent in. So let me get caught up on the comments, and then I might break into some material that I have from some of the videos that I did. Betty says, how do I win my daughter back into my life? It's like 6 years, and there's been bad words, and she's kicked me out. Well, Betty, you can't win anybody back, but you can do a fearless and searching moral inventory to examine what it is that you have to make amends for, and make amends for that. I was working with somebody this morning, and they want their in-laws to forgive and forget and play nice, but they actually did something very harmful to the in-laws. And I'm like, well, it's cool if the in-laws will someday make nice, but really, once you start with apologizing and making amends for what you did. And they said, well, I apologized once. If you hurt somebody very deeply, you need to apologize 30 times. Once ain't gonna cut it. All right. Sherry says, speaking of workable, do you think narcissists could ever be workable, especially if they're towards the lower spectrum? It depends on who you ask. If you ask me, then I do think that somebody who's narcissistic but on the lower spectrum, if they're in a great deal of emotional pain, they absolutely, positively can make progress. Narcissists aren't aliens. Again, it's a spectrum from 1 to 100, and somebody who has narcissistic tendencies and they're a 25 out of 100, and they're properly motivated and they have a good therapist, they can do work. I've seen it many times. Soren, you have a blank screen. I don't think anybody else has a blank screen. You're back. Aga is driving and listening. What's up? My wife says I'm in the 1%. 1% of what, sweetie poo? So Diana Bach says, it's been a while. Hope you're well. I think that most of us are well. Soren says, I broke up with my girlfriend. Dude, you just fetched you up your new girlfriend. Why'd you go and break up with her? I bet you had a good reason. Let's find out. She was in total denial about her own behavior and how it related to her mother, who's a narcissist. Totally didn't want to hear about family systems therapy. How do I move on? Well, it sounds like you have moved on, Soren. You broke up. So you cry. you get a dog, you spend time alone, you spend time with friends. I've told this story before, but I love it so much I'll tell it again. When I was early in my recovery from relationship addiction, there were no relationship addiction meetings around, so I'd go to Sex Addicts Anonymous meetings. Hey, it looks sort of dark with my hat. Do I look like a gangster? Do I look a little gangsterish? I hope so. So I would go to a meeting, and one day a guy came in, and his life was a wreck, and it was it was unmanageable. He was going through his second divorce, and he was going through bankruptcy, and he lived in a crappy apartment. But he found a way to be happy anyway. Alone, crappy apartment, bankrupt, and y'all, he came to our men's group one night, and he had gotten the recipe for broccoli cheese soup, and he made broccoli cheese soup, and he acted like he was the king of freaking England, and like he was eating ambrosia from the gods. And I thought, here's a man who's probably ready for a healthy relationship, because he can be healthy and happy in bankruptcy, living in a really crappy apartment with no girlfriend and no money and no physical relationship, and he genuinely is very, very happy. And sure enough, he met a woman at work, and they're very, very, very happy. So, okay, so what do we got here? Diana is definitely having trouble in the trust department. Just give them a little bit at a time. Go to therapy with your new significant others early on. I think the norm should be go into therapy within the first 3 to 6 months. Then you find out, Denise, I know that Denise, I'm afraid to get involved due to bad choices in the past. I feel sad being alone, but it's better having trouble in my life. I'm grateful for people who are nice to me, and Mark cracks me up. Why I crack you up? Because I eat almonds on the show wearing a ball cap, looking like a gangster. My lovely wife, excuse me, is suggesting a book called Daring to Trust. So y'all who have trust issues, then Daring to Trust by David Richo, R-I-C-H-O. What's up, Lance? He's coming up from sunny California. I wish I was in sunny California. Soren's thinking about getting a pooch. Jackie, hey Mark, question. How do I react when I apologize for my part in the fight and the other person says, oh, I don't know what happened. You're right, I don't. Well, you know, we're just responsible to clean up our side of the street. whether they get it, whether they apologize for their part of the incident is non-incidental in a perfect dysfunctional world. Kimberly likes it when we recommend books. Marlene is got an issue with blindness that she's sharing. Soren, I just don't get it, Mark. Why are people in such denial about their bad behavior? We would plan something, and then when I got there, completely changed the plans. It was abandoning behaviors to the max. So Soren, I got a little feedback for you. Brace yourself. She was who she was. That was always who she was. And so, the question, Soren, isn't why people are in denial about their bad behavior, but why were you in denial about who this chick was? That's a question. That's the only question that you can really have a lot of influence on is why do we not see them sooner? Why, if they tell us who they are, why don't we believe them the first time? It's hard eating these almonds that are covered with salt, because then you've got to lick all the salt off. Just saying. Gangster look. I'm shooting for the gangster look tonight. I don't know if I don't know if gangsters wear big glasses like that and Dallas Cowboy hats, but so little talk about puppy dogs. Kate Nadine, I'm married to my hubby for a long time. I almost divorced him when he thought I was having a nervous breakdown, when the toxic funk was gaslighting me. The toxic funk was gaslighting me. Grr. Kate Nadine, I don't know what you mean by that. Sherry says, thank you, Mark. I appreciate your honesty and realness. Thank you for your wonderful videos and all that you do. You know, I haven't been in the greatest condition lately due to this move and some other issues that have come up. And what I've noticed is with complex PTSD, if you don't get enough rest and you don't eat right, you don't exercise, and you don't do your therapy, then you can regress. And so I've actually wanted to make more videos and share more, but frankly, I've been tired and I've been grumpy, haven't I, honey? And so I got to get my own house in order before I can, you know, share more. Trying to catch up on the comment. Take a drink of water, please, Mark. I won't drink water. I'll drink from my really attractive. Don't you guys think this is an attractive beverage container? It's rather large, but I'm actually drinking Diet Root Beer. That wasn't Diet Root Beer. That was like sort of that Crystal Light thing. Kate Nadine says, my sister-in-law is the toxic gaslighting funk. She mind-funked me real good. I can't stand her. No contact forever. I think she might go to hell, but who knows? I guess I should pray for her. So I can't keep up with all the comments. You guys just keep chatting. Soren says, that's true, Mark. Why don't we see it early on? We don't see it early on because we've got all this attraction, emotional connection, because they're like our parents. They're hidden versions of our parents. And we want mommy and daddy's love. And so we lose our ever-loving minds. Recovery with Cresta says, gangsta. I'm a gangsta. Mark Capone. You guys are crazy. Mark, your comment about licking the salt off your hands is why you cracked this up. Okay. All right. Mark, do you believe that a narcissist is capable of having fun? From Jackie. Absolutely. Narcissists actually tend to, the ones I've known, they at least do a lot of fun things. A lot of the ones I've known have a lot of money. They travel, they have boats, they have planes, they have lots of sex, they do really cool things. They might be inwardly miserable, but I think they do have fun. They get drunk, they take drugs, and they do fun stuff. So that's just my theory. So okay, I got to the end. Okay, so I'm going to share, it's a little quote from a video that I made just yesterday. And it's already got like 500 views. So that's really cool. So thank you if you watched it. But this is a quote from Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And it was from her book, Death, the Final Stage of Growth. Isn't it cool? What's the final stage of growth? Death. But it's a powerful quote. It's a famous quote. So here we go. The most beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat. They've known suffering. They've known struggle. They've known loss. And they have found their way out of these depths. These persons have an appreciation and they have a sensitivity and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion. It fills them with gentleness and a deep, loving concern Beautiful people don't just happen. Isn't that a cool quote? So, y'all are some beautiful people. Y'all are beautiful people because we haven't just known loss, we've known a lot of defeat. I held up a picture of Muhammad Ali knocking out Sonny Liston, and he's standing over him just gloating. And I don't know about you, but life has stood over me gloating after knocking me out on many an occasion. And that's a bad, bruising sense of defeat. All of us have known suffering and struggle and loss. And what I was trying to say earlier, do we emerge from the depths and jump out of the water and start walking on water and jet skiing across the water, you know, like a party animal? Probably not. Probably not so much. My experience has been you better take care of yourself. You had better stick to routine. You had better take very good care of yourself. Maintain your spiritual life. Maintain your meditation. Don't fight too much with your wife. Sometimes because Ren and I have been through so much stress in the first 16 months of our marriage, and sometimes we sort of wear each other down with too much fussy britches behavior. But what we have as empaths is we have an appreciation and a sensitivity and an understanding of life that fills us with compassion and gentleness and a deep loving concern. Beautiful people don't just happen, they fight for it. Beautiful people pay a heavy price. So I'm in celebration of all y'all beautiful people. So okay, let me get caught up on your comments here again. Lance says, Mark, a lot of us who have suffered also deal with victimhood, and one seems to go with another. No, brother, you don't have to. We have suffered, and what I like to tell people is you certainly have been traumatized, but I don't believe we've ever been victimized. The narcissist who ripped my guts out and took me for a lot of money and ruthlessly threw me away, I went looking for her and found her on Match.com, and she had 75 red flags waving all around her, and I let her into my heart and into my home. So there was no victimization. There was self-infliction. There was being complicit. There was me reenacting my relationship with my borderline mama, but there was no victimization. Victimization is the devil. Victimhood mentality is cancer. It causes divorces, it causes suicides, it causes depression. It's gotta go. That's what the gangsters is. Okay, so I did another video about 10 days ago, and so here I was struggling in Myrtle Beach, My wife was up here. I missed her. It was raining every day. It was humid. I was really exhausted. So I thought I needed a good long soak in my lovely sacred hot tub. So I cleaned it out real good. I put some extra water in it, got the temperature just right. It was raining just gently. It was just going to be this heavenly experience. So I got in anticipating healing. For me, the hot tub in South Carolina is one of my best tools for coping with and healing my PTSD symptoms. And then I saw this big bug floating around in my hot tub. I thought, I didn't invite this big bug to hot tub with me. I'm going to grab the big bug and toss his little bug ass out of my hot tub. So I reached over, I think with my right hand, I grabbed the bug. It was a hornet and it stung me. Man, you can still see it. I don't know if you can see that. You see that little, I got stung. And it really, really, really hurt. And I didn't know if my hand was going to blow up like a balloon. I probably needed to ice it, but I stayed in the hot tub anyway. No hornet was going to chase me from my sacred waters. But then it hit me. What happens when we get stung in our safe places? That hot tub is definitely the safest of my safe places, one of the safest ones. And I got bit by a nasty hornet. And then I remembered some work incidents where people who I thought were safe bit me real hard. One bit me in my heart. One bit me on my back, and one tried to bite me on my wallet. I don't know which one are worse, but and then I had another experience in a place that I thought was safe, where I got bit. So watch that video. It's the one before the beautiful people quote, and it's about getting stung. You can't always see dangerous people coming, and if you don't vet them right, and if you don't protect yourself, even in a place that you feel to be just a bastion of safety, you can get your hand stung, and it really, really, really hurts. Okay, now I'm going to have one of these little cheese snacks. My wife buys these for me. Little baby cheeses. You got to unwrap them out of wax. So, okay, so I'm completely out of material. And so y'all got to carry the ball, or I'm going to start singing. Soren says, Mark, it's so hard to find workable people out there. I don't want to be so rigid that I'm against dating, but I don't want to get trapped at the same time. Know what I mean? Yeah, honestly, God forbid if something happened to my wife or something happened to our marriage, I'm pretty sure I would retire from the dating world altogether, because it's so painful. Brenda can do the work, and she loves me dearly, and I love her dearly, but between the two of us, we have more issues than, any 5 people probably. So you add 3 difficult moves in and harassment from various narcissistic abusers and some financial press. Hey, U.S. Mail, I want to recognize you as you would like me to do. It's just, Soren, I feel your pain, and it makes me feel really blessed that I have a woman who can do the work. Okay, Jackie says, how is Jerry? He'll be on the show in 2 weeks. I'm probably going to have him come to the office. He hasn't seen our beautiful, sacred, Zen-like office yet, and I'd like to show him. So hopefully we'll be coming from the office, but Jerry will be here in 2 weeks. He will come packing material. He will come dropping knowledge. So look forward to that. How is he? I haven't really chatted with him, but I follow his Facebook, and he looks really happy. I took a picture of him, or I downloaded a picture of him. He's not going to like that I shared his Facebook picture, but it'll be okay. He was snuggling with a putty cat. Let's see if I can find my Jerry putty cat. It's probably... Here's Jerry. Now, does this look like a happy man or what? He's snuggling with his putty cat. I don't know if you can see the big smile. Let me turn down the brightness, and we will get a better picture of the putty cat snuggling Jerry. It wasn't very bright to begin with. It's a comment on my intelligence. Okay, there he is. So, what do you think? You think Jerry's doing pretty good? Yeah, he's doing real good. And his practice is really taken off. Hey, I got some exciting news. I got contacted by an organization called, let me tell you what it's called, but they want me to speak online at their conference on shame. And I record it this coming, that's tomorrow. I record it tomorrow, but let me get the name of the place, and maybe you guys can tune in. I don't say, but it's a, I'm looking in the wrong section, under updates, okie dokie. It's a conference online on shame, so let me know, what is the organization? It's the name of the conference is Overcoming Shame and Guilt Online Conference. I should have had this written down in ahead of time, so my apologies. This is really bad marketing. There it is. Okay. Sorry for the dead time. I'm going to start singing any moment. but I've never spoken at a conference online, and I haven't spoken on any conferences in person in a long, long time. So if anybody out there would like me to come and speak, I would like to do that. Okay. So it's called Avaya Media, Avaya, and they create positive films and courses and online events such as overcoming codependency, the gratitude effect, something called I Think, change your perception, change your life. So the organization is Avaya Media. And in September, they're hosting the Overcoming Shame and Guilt online conference, and I am going to be a speaker. They say our goal is to create a loving, supportive community in which viewers will discover what shame and guilt are and why we experience these emotions, the effect they have on all areas of our lives, and how we can let them go. So I record that tomorrow with one of their personnel, Andy Anderson. So cool, huh? I just turned off my feed. I shouldn't do that. Okay, back to y'all. Okay. So Soren says, I hear you, Mark. It is painful. It's just so complicated out there. And I find that men and women in my generation are just so unreasonable. It makes it feel impossible sometimes. Keep looking, I guess. So, Soren, how old are you? You talk about your generation. Soren says, is Jerry married or single? He is single. He is single. Jackie digs that Jerry loves kitty cats. U.S. Mail keeps missing the shows. So, I mean, I guess there's supposed to be 40,000 viewers for this shame workshop. You know what? I have something else that I wanted to discuss, and that is, you know, I'm a recovering religious addict, so I spent a lot of time in the Christian church. And one of the most famous churches in America is Willow Creek in Illinois near Chicago. And I was flabbergasted and I was shocked to find out that their leader, this guy was like 2 notches below Billy Graham. He was like one of the most famous ministers in the world, named Bill Hybels. And he was accused of sexually harassing women in his church for decades. And then the church, who put him on a pedestal and didn't want to think that the godly man could do such awful things, they whitewashed it, and they gave the guy a clean bill of health. But the more questions they asked, the more truth that came out. And I'll be honest with you. I had a hard time believing that the godly man can do what he does. And I know a lot about sexual addiction. Probably what happened, I don't know that this guy is a stone cold narcissist or anything. What happens is many ministers are wounded little boys, and they're wounded little boys, and they never heal their issues, and they cover their issues up with religious addiction. There's some comments here on this religious business. Jackie says, we had a lot of big name ministers at a church when I grew up. Benny Hinn. Jackie, you know, I actually met Benny Hinn personally. When I was in my religious addiction, I lived in Tulsa, and he was speaking at our church. Kenneth Copeland, I haven't met him, but those are some freaky guys. They may be big name, but they're freaky guys. I'm just saying. But I got to tell you that it broke my heart that, hi Joy Chan, better late than never. It broke my heart that somebody that I considered to be a true man of God was also a man of sexual addiction and sexual harassment. When my daughter graduated in her undergraduate, she put on the top of her, actually it might have been, I think it was her undergraduate, it said, Me Too. And the Me Too movement is, I've been sexually harassed too. And of the women who are watching the show, how many Me Too's do we have? Women who've been sexually harassed in some way, shape, or form, or sexually abused. I don't know that I've been sexually harassed, but I was sexually abused when I was a boy. But I pray for Bill Hybels. The disturbing thing, Kelly says, Me Too. Are there any more Me Too's out there? Jackie says, yep, Liberty, Me Too. Diana, Me Too. Lots of Me Too. Kate Nadine. Soren has been Me Too'd by 2 different genders. It's very sad. But I do pray for Bill Hybels. The thing that really bothered me is he didn't confess. Kimberly, Me Too. A U.S. male when he was younger. He said it was a pack of lies, and he denied it, and he walked away. I'm so sorry for the Me Too. So what we have is either sexual addicts or narcissists who don't have boundaries. Do I think it's true what Bill Hybels did? Yeah, of course I do. There was many women that said he did horrific things, and they even had some written evidence. Yeah, he's guilty as sin. And when the guy was given the speech afterwards, he said, we had missteps, we had mistakes, we had misunderstandings. And I'm not a big one for sin, but brother, how about calling it some sin if you're coming from church and there's stuff like that? Covering up for somebody else can get you fired. Joe Paterno found that out at Penn State when those horrific things were going on. We got somebody from Romania We're talking about sexual harassment and the Me Too movement. So let me know if there's any more Me Toos out there. So we are at about an hour and 15 minutes. Let me see what Soren is saying. Soren said, I had a female supervisor lean into me and tell me I'm a naughty little boy based on my signature, completely uninvited and sick. That is sick. That is sick. Denise was sexually harassed by a schoolmate, and she remembers his name to this day and wish she would have punched him out. Kate Nadine, I was in the Army National Guard, so there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Jackie says, victims always suffer in silence. Soren says, I had a gay supervisor say to me, spend one night with me and you'll never go back to a woman. My God. So I don't know why that bothered me so much. It shouldn't surprise me that I mean, he had this mega church and then 8 mega other churches. And he had a reputation of a saint. And I don't think there are any saints. There's just broken, wounded people. And I just wish that, okay, so someone says, you can't wait for my books. They are available. I've got a book on abandonment issues. It's probably the best book I've written, managing abandonment issues through recovery, shameless commercial and promotion. And then I have a really good book on shame and how it affects communication with couples. And then I have a really super raw book on narcissistic abuse syndrome. And there are some okay. One of my projects is I'm going to, it take me about 20 minutes a book, and all the books that I have on Kindle, you'll be able to order them as real books. I just got to do that one of these days, because I know there's people out there who want to read real books. And I do have one paperback that you can order, and it's on a fair recovery. And you can order that from Kindle. So. Jackie mentions Bill Cosby. Soren, that's another project, is putting the books on Audible. Because I don't read books, I listen to books, but and I could very easily, with a simple program, just read through the books, and then I'm sure I could get them on Audible, but they're not available on Audible yet. That's one. You know what? With 3 moves in a year and getting married and various narcissistic abuse syndrome situations, and some health concerns with my daughter, It's common, Soren. Being able to listen to the books is common, I promise you. So, Denise says, I would love to hear Mark do Audible. I listen to books too and have difficulty reading. All right. I hear y'all. I hear y'all. But yeah, Brenda and I are just, we're enjoying the new office. Brenda has had her license for a month, her temporary license. She takes her test in December, but Brenda is killing it. She's murdering people in a good way, psychologically, in therapy, and she gets 2 or 3 new clients a week. Let her know that I'll get right back with her. So sorry about this. My daughter Jordan just got her master's degree in social work, and she is working, doing, she's running a campaign. It was voted the most significant state campaign in the country, and she's the campaign manager. So pretty heady stuff for a 23-year-old. On my live show, will Facebook you back soon? You okay? Yeah, Brenda is amazing. She's a super talented therapist, and the problem with our situation is I've been doing this 30 years, and Brenda officially has been doing it for a month. And she has so much joy doing it, and so she wants to sort of be here in Indy, rocking this new gorgeous office and having people walk in. But the old man wants to be at the sea, writing books and making videos and chilling out. So. Okay, so we're getting pretty late here into the show, and I need to get back to my daughter. I never did eat my other piece of cheese. We'll have a cheese eating session before we go. So I'm glad that you're giving feedback, Kate Nadine. I think this cheese has gotten sort of funky. We have a question. So let me address the question. Yeah. Yeah, that's... I hope I don't get sick from that. Blah! Okay, let me find the question. What is your opinion on grieving emotions mixed with rage? I regret the death of my mother and I'm mad. Okay. How do you say your name? Anti-Cold23. I'm going to have cheese farts tonight, honey. I'm warned. So, so what I would do when I suffered from rage, I did 3 things, and it's a way of expressing the rage. One was I took a tennis racket, and it's actually the couch that I used in my office. It was in my home, and I would hit the couch until I started to get sweaty. I would hit the couch with the tennis racket. The second thing I did was I got a some boxing gloves, and a heavy bag and a punching bag, and I went to work, smacking stuff around, smacking the bag around, not smacking stuff around. And I would put that on, and as I was hitting it, I would sort of be cussing, about the narcissist, and it was a tremendous release of energy. And then the last thing I did was, when you're driving around in a car, to scream at the top of your lungs. And if you have like a well-insulated car, that's cool. But I did mine when I was in a convertible. So I got a lot of really weird looks. So, love you guys. Thank you for hanging in with the gangster tonight, and putting up with my silliness. We really do care about you. And Marlene would pound the piano to ragtime music. Whatever works. Whatever works. Raw vegetarian and whatever works. So I'm going to gather my belongings. My wife is promising that there's yummy dinner at home. And so I'm going to go get me some yummy dinner. And thank you for watching tonight. Watch those 2 videos if you haven't. The one about getting stung in the hand, and the one about beautiful people who've been through loss. So, God bless everybody. Have a good couple of weeks. And Mr. Jerry Wise will be here on the 28th. See you later, alligators.